Hey, hopefully we are live and direct. As you can see, I am here with the man himself, Mr. Terry Dempsey from Urban Bait, and this is a bit of a special one-off opportunity really. Terry rang me the other day and said, Danny,
popping past, come up this way.
I'm coming to
pop and see you.
So here he is, and what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about bait.
Yep.
Kind of makes sense. So if you don't know who Urban Bait are or anything about Urban Bait, then this is your chance to learn a little bit more from the man who invented it.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about bait. I'm going to talk a little bit about rigs. It's kind of important. So if you have good bait and a poor rig, or a good rig and a poor,
you need a good balanced rig, don't you, with a bait? That's what you need.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that stuff. We're going to talk about what's new and where Urban Bait's kind of going, because there's some big plans. And we're going to touch on a little bit on the Dragon's Den thing. Not too much, because if you didn't know, Terry was on Dragon's Den recently.
Yes.
And there's a story that goes with that. So we've got an action-packed show. We're going to be on around, I would imagine, 30 minutes or so. So even if you're at work, now's the time to sneak off and sit somewhere quietly and just tune into this for the next 30 minutes. I promise you by the end of this video, you will have picked up at least one thing that will help your carp fishing. And it struck me the other day that Terry's been carp fishing since the year I was born. So I read something on the internet, and I think he was talking to Jim Shelley on a video as well. And it's like, I started carp fishing in 1981. I was born in 1981, so that puts it into perspective.
I've been doing it too long.
But how has the carp fishing world changed since those humble beginnings, Terry?
Yeah, it's totally changed. From when I first started, there wasn't a lot of carp tackle on the market. And as we were talking earlier, a lot of the stuff that we were using, we either had to make, or you knew someone who made it.
Yeah.
The baits we were getting from supermarkets and stuff like that. And there wasn't hardly anything wrote about carp, nothing like it is now, not even 1%.
No.
There wasn't many carp anglers around in 1981. Most people, if they did fish, they were still float fishing and pleasure fishing, but carp fishing then was very specialist.
And we were talking earlier about the extent you used to go to actually find the carp back in the day, because carp weren't bred for fisheries, were they? Like they are today. You can buy carp for your lake.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
there was a lot of mystery around still. There was the waters that people knew about, you know, the famous waters that we'd go and fish. I grew up in East London, so the lakes I mainly fished were Kent and Essex, and there was a lot of famous lakes there. You know, your sort of Lake Meadows, Durham, places like that. Hainault Forest I fished, and the reservoirs where everyone I fished. But then there was other waters that you'd look for that didn't have any sort of history. So there was a lot of mystery around then. Yeah, it was early days, so there was a lot to learn.
Well, clearly you were starting literally from the beginning, and I guess, you know, Carp Global now, we've got our own shop, we're doing all this online stuff. There was no such thing as the internet. No such thing as Facebook, YouTube.
We had the Anglers Mail and the Anglers Times, didn't we? And they were 99.9% geared up towards match fishing, fishermen, sea fishing. Carp fishing was small in them times.
So I remember sort of 12, 13, which is obviously 12, 13 years after you said you started. Yeah. First discovering carp fishing when seeing this huge fish crash, and I was float fishing, and I was like, right, I need to catch this thing, but I don't know how. And all of the anglers were very secretive, and they wouldn't tell you what they were using and all that sort of stuff. So to actually be one of the pioneers of this, what did you do to sort of get yourself on the right track?
I started, my original carp fishing was quite appalling really. We didn't have an absolute clue. And we would sort of float baits mid-water and stuff like this, you know. We really didn't. I think it took me about a year to get my head around it. And I started catching eventually on free lines. I was using free lines, and I learned how to make a paste bait. And I used to make a paste bait, get a big hook, and I'd put it on a free line, and I'd fish in the margins. And this is how I caught a lot of my first carp. And then I went to fish a lake in Essex where the carp fishing had evolved quite a lot more, and there was people there using boilies. That's when I seen my first boilies, and it wasn't long before I was making my own baits. And then I discovered, like, around the time, peanuts and baits like this that were brilliant for carp, you know. And my first years really were sort of making small amounts of boilies and fishing them over peanuts Tiger nuts were really expensive then. Peanuts were the cheaper option, and we caught loads of fish on them.
Yeah, and I guess the peanuts, the tiger nuts, the things that you were buying from supermarkets, you know, however many years ago, you know, 30 odd years ago, are they the foundations for what we now know as urban bait and indeed the other bait companies as well?
A lot of the early ingredients that I bought, you know, I was buying milk proteins that were coming over from New Zealand. There was a guy near us selling bait in milk proteins, and a lot of the first baits that I made were really high in milk protein. And then I discovered Sluice CLO, which was a bird food, and it was full of crumb. And you know, we knew by putting 30% of that in your bait, you know, it lowered the price of your bait, but also it give you a lot more bait to fish with. You know, instead of using these milk proteins. And we always believed that the milk proteins have filled the fish up really quick. They're not as digestible, so they sit in the stomach, so you couldn't put a load out anyway. But with this new bait, we were putting a lot more bait in because it had the bird food in it and the crumb. It was more digestible. It still had the protein in it. And from then on, that's when my fishing went up a gear. All of a sudden, I think the first year I started using that bait, I'd done 2020s. Which was like a big
that's a big achievement.
In the mid '80s, that was the target all the boys were going for, the 2020s, and I'd done that when I was 16. I was 16 years of age, but I started carp fishing and I got addicted to carp fishing when I was about 12. And by the time I was 13, I never went to school. And I just fished.
Go to school, kids. And there's people laughing in the shop. Make sure you go to school. It's kind of important these days. Now, obviously, we're talking about these early beginnings, but some of the things you're talking about, digestibility of a bait, certain ingredients of a bait, those things are timeless, aren't they, Terry? And they're still so important today. And when we look at a company like Urban Bait and the ingredients that you use now, what would you say are the key factors to making a bait that's not only, you know, digestible and attractive, but also something that stands that test of time?
Stands the test of time. Well, you know, with me, obviously, with our fish meals are a brilliant product, you know, with the tuna and garlic and the red spicy fish that does really well, really high in fish meals, which is brilliant for the fish. Then we use a milk protein, we use a lot of calf's milk in our bait. Calf's milk is just an unbelievable food product. If you look at what a calf needs to sustain its life, you know, you're not going to get something better. And then we'll use other binding ingredients, like we use a small amount of crumb as a binder. And then with the eggs as well, you've got a total balanced food. You know, you've got the protein in there, you've got the carbohydrate in there, so you've got a balance, which we call it, you know, it's got a good nutritional value to the fish, and also they're very digestible. A lot of people who use our baits, me myself, if you do sort of keep a fish in a net or a sling for an hour or so, you'll find the sling full of food because it's just going straight through them. I mean, one of the good things that I do like to put a lot of bait in, and I do fish over a lot of bait. I think it helps on the type of lakes that I fish, the big gravel pits and so on. And the bait does go through the fish, so you can fish over a couple of kilos and not overfeed your swim. And this is what I think: if you use the bait right and it is digestible, you're gonna reap the benefits of it.
So looking for that digestibility in the baits that you choose, very, very important. But one of the things I noticed from you, Terry, and you've touched on that with the lads in the shop as well this morning, is you like to mix it up.
Yeah, I do. The way I see it is, you know, I'm in a privileged position where I've got access to bait. You know, the nutcracker I've caught, you know, my PBs I've caught on the nutcracker from Wingham, my PB in England, £54. That was on nutcracker.
So £54.
So I know that the nutcrackers caught me so many special fish. I know, but so is the tuna and garlic, and so is the red fish. So I do find it difficult, and I find if I mix them, you think the tiger nut, we're using like 15% tiger nut in the nutcracker. We grind it down ourselves. There isn't, if you're putting a kilo of that in your swim, you've got 150 grams of tiger nut sitting in your swim. The tiger nut's a brilliant bait, ground down. It's got such a great attraction. You know, it's got so much trace minerals and stuff like this that the carp can search out, and they know they need. Now, if you've got a fish meal out there as well, and they're looking for that, you know, so you're putting more in the swim. You're putting more of these good things.
The good things,
like what we were talking about earlier. If you're fishing particles, you'll fish boilies over the top of, say, peanuts or tiger nuts. Again, you're getting that balance. You're getting more, like when you have your dinner later, you're not going to just have a plate of beans.
Exactly. I think that's a very important point. And just what you said there about knowing, if you put a kilo out and it's 15%, you know that you've got 150 grams of tiger nut in the swim.
Nut in the swim. And that's a brilliant thing to have. And then you've got your milk proteins out there, you know. I mean, we try and load our bait up with tiger nut. We love using the tiger nut ground. You can't put too much in tiger nut. It's a really funny ingredient. It's a bit like wood. A tiger nut, by the way, isn't a nut. A tiger nut is a tuber. And a tuber is like a potato. So a tiger is much more digestible. When you hear about people saying about nut mixes and they're using a lot of nut, it's not a good thing. Peanuts are a lot less digestible than tiger nuts. Tiger nuts, where they're a tuber, they're a vegetable, you can eat them, they're like a staple diet. In other countries, like a health food. You eat a load of peanuts, you're going to get a bellyache, Tiger nuts are much more digestible to the fish.
And that's for humans too, right? Like you're saying, they sell this as a health food. And
they reckon ancient civilizations lived on tiger nuts. You know, there's proof going back, you know, where they grow, like in Spain and North Africa. You know, there's such an amazing food source, and you know, we use that. Obviously, they've got quite a bad name in fishing, where people wasn't cooking peanuts, they wasn't cooking tiger nuts, and they got. But to be honest, they're probably one of the healthiest things that you could eat as a person, let alone being a fish.
And if tiger nuts are done right, and if anybody's sort of dubious about how do we prepare particles, how do you prepare nuts, there's so much information available out there now.
Well, tiger nuts, myself, I've been preparing tiger nuts since I was a kid, like, you know, since I was really young age.
What's the top do's and don'ts?
This is what I would do with a tiger nut. I'd cover it in water and I'd leave it to soak for 24 hours. And then I'd cook it. I'd bring it to the boil, a bit like if you was going to boil brown rice. Brown rice is really hard to get into. So then you bring it to the boil and then you just let it simmer for about 40 minutes. So just keep it lightly boiling for 40 minutes. But constantly check the water, because after 40 minutes you're going to lose a lot of water. So just keep the water topped up.
And it's always got to be covered,
put
right?
Quite a lot in. Another really good tip for tiger nuts is when you do it, put a load of brown sugar in them. So get, like, say for a kilo of tiger nuts, get 4 or 5 big tablespoons of brown sugar. Put that in there, and another one as well. Some of the guys are doing a little bit of nutcracker flavouring. So if you're going to get a kilo of tiger nuts, put 3 or 4 spoonfuls of brown sugar, and then put just a capful of nutcracker flavouring, and that really makes it sweet. And you know, another good flavour is like chocolate malt, but you know, that you can use with but nutcracker flavour does really well. We were flavouring tiger nuts a lot when I was a kid, because they were our main way of fishing. So, you know, if you've caught a load of fish on a tiger nut, you think, right, let's flavour it.
Let's flavour next sort of level.
That's the next sort of step.
And there's a lot of little edges that, as an angler, whether you're out there, you're fishing, you know, you can put these little edges into play quite easily, can't you? A cap full of nutcracker into your tiger nuts, or like you're talking about, you can get from the health food shops, you can get this stuff ground down, you can use it in bag mixes, or of course you can just grab the off the shelf stuff that's
even our stick
already
mix,
been done.
Our stick mix is 20% ground down nut in there, among other stuff as well, that you know, it's good to soak in attractors. Stuff like that you want to use to soak in attractors.
So it's thinking about getting that balance right, I guess, isn't it? And before you even get to rigs, before you even get to where you're going to be fishing, that digestibility, that quality bait, and using a bait that's got a good percentage of the right stuff.
A good right. With our baits, say I mixed our 3 baits. I mean, I had a terrific season this year. You know, I had a lot of good fish in a certain amount of nights, and you know, I don't do that much time because I've got a lot of other things going on. And what I do, one of the edges that I believe that I use, I mix our 3 baits up. You know, I'll chop a load of them up, but also I always fish a little bit of rancid hemp in the mix. Rancid hemp, but only a small amount.
I would just define rancid for the. We've got like 75 people watching now. It's like
when I started carp fishing, particles were one of the main things that I would use, mainly because I couldn't afford boilies in those times. The boilies were very expensive. We had to make less of, blah blah blah. But what we realised was that fermented particles were better than fresh particles. So a tiger nut when we talk about earlier, when you cook it in sugar,
yeah,
when you cook your tiger nut in the sugar and you put your bit of nutcracker flavouring, then leave that for a good week.
A week?
A week.
Some folks will be straight out of the door with that.
No, we'll leave it for a week, yeah? Let it start gelling up, and it starts gelling, and the liquid in it, the water will become thicker and thicker, and it can eventually become like jelly, where you hold it and it literally hangs.
So
the block of tigers, yes.
And if you've done this at home, you would kind of know that, wouldn't you?
Now, the companies out there that are selling particles can't do this. Yeah, they you know, you're buying fresh particles. They're not selling fermented, so you've got an edge straight away. What no one else can do. Now, what I do is I don't want my fish to feed heavily on particle, because I believe if they feed too heavily on the particle, I'm not going to get a bite on one of my size 4 hooks or size 6 hooks that's sitting out there, because they want this tiny stuff. So I'll use just a handful of fermented particle as an attractor, mix that in with all my crumb boilie, my chop boilie and my whole boilie, so when the fish come in, you know, you've laid them out a banquet. But what you're also doing is you're giving them bigger food pieces to eat, like boilies, so you can balance your rig, because it's all about balancing your tackle. You ain't going to use a size 22 hook and a 2-pound line when you're fishing for a 40-pound common in a weedy lake.
Exactly. And these mixture of particles, the liquid that goes with that, the fermented stuff, the chop boilie, the powder, the crumb, all of these different things.
You've got a banquet.
It's kind of sitting differently. If there's a bit of weed in there, stuff's not all going to sink to the bottom.
And also the attractor. I'm fishing big gravel pits at, you know, anything from sort of 15 to 200 acres. You know, I might not have a fish within 300 yards of where I'm fishing. I want something down there that's going to tell them I'm there.
That's, I think, a really important point. And I know we've got like 85 people watching us, and I've looked up and there's a bunch of folks in the shop as well. Making the fish know that you're there on a big gravel pit might be a bit different than on, say, a pressured water where, you know, you've got one man comes off, one man comes on, one man comes off, one man comes on. People are waiting for those swims. And I know you guys will experience this if you're fishing the sort of day tickets, and I know you're privileged to be able to fish waters that maybe some folks might not be able to. But if you were to approach one of these more heavily pressured waters, what would you do? Would you do anything differently?
Yeah, I don't do a lot differently.
This is...
Yeah, I don't do a lot differently. I will go in again with similar tactics. I'll look around me and look at how much bait I'll need to put in. Maybe I'll start with less, or maybe I'll start with more. It all depends on who else is on the lake, what they're doing. Now, if I get to the lake and everyone says to me, "Oh, it's all singles," I'll try and put a bit of bait in, because that works.
So you kind of go against the grain.
I'm trying to fit in somewhere. But one particular complex I've been fishing over the last couple of years, which is super busy, it's Christchurch Lake down at Lynch Hill. And that place, I've had several really good fish from there now, and that's all been over loads of bait. And that's the method that I've used over there now. And I mean, every swing's taken, and I'm fishing over 30 spots, 35 spots tight, you know, and that's what's been catching me fish.
So getting the bait out there and not being afraid to put the bait in.
A lot of these day lakes that we're talking about here are quite heavily stocked anyway. They're quite heavily stocked lakes, The reason that there's 20 people sitting around that lake is because they're catching fish. If they weren't catching fish, they wouldn't be there. So if they're catching fish, it means there's plenty of fish there. So if there's plenty of fish there, you need to give them plenty of food.
It's like, who's watching right now? I don't know if you guys can see or hear me, but give us some likes and hearts and kind of go crazy. Give Terry some appreciation, because I've picked up probably 6 or 7 cool little things there.
A few questions.
And there's questions coming in, and I know Lee's in the background as well, monitoring questions. Do you want to shout out a few of the questions you might have seen, Lee, at the back for Terry, just at this point?
Daz Reed, question for Terry. Who inspired you to go fishing, and what impact did they have on you?
When I was growing up, I lived in London on the council estates. No one in my family fished, but the boys who lived where I lived used to all go down the docks and fish, and it seemed like it was a boys' day out. So you went on a bus and you went down the docks and you spent the day down the docks with your mates in the summer holidays, and that's how I started to fish. No one showed me how to fish. In fact, the first few times I did fish, You know, I come home with a bird's nest because I didn't know how to use a reel, because no one taught me. But I think that's what helped me, because I had to learn it myself. It made me go deeper into it.
Yeah.
You know?
And like you said, we had Angler's Mail or Angling Times back in the day, and it was all geared to sort of match fishermen. So hard to understand what you were doing. And I guess this is how, these years later, you can actually have a bait company, and you've got this knowledge in your mind, and you can turn up to a lake and know
get an idea of what you want to be doing.
Which way to go.
I mean, the first carp I ever see caught was a guy called Ron Wood, and he's still around now, Ron. He's still on Facebook. And, you know, I see him catch an 8-pound carp from a park lake in East London when I was about 11. And after that, I was a carp fisherman. You know, my match rods, got the tips cut off of them.
Is that how you did it?
My match rod's got the tips cut off of them. And my first carp I ever caught was on a cut-down rod, you know?
Yeah, don't be cutting up your match rods just yet, because I think we're in a good position these days where tackle.
We don't need to do that.
We don't need to do that. And we were talking about things like Dacron. If you know what Dacron is, give some likes and some arts there. But there's the way that carp fishing's evolved over, you know, not a great deal of time. Think about it.
Very
short time, where now you can go out and not only can you get the gear, you can get the bait, but you can also find this inspiration.
That's right.
What Daz is talking about, who inspired you. But now, it's kind of like everybody.
Everyone.
You can take a little bit from everybody.
I mean, in my school, no one carp fished. Only my mate Tony, who me and him started up at the same time. But now, half of the guys who went my school carp fish.
So
it just shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All them years later, it's sort of caught up on itself.
Yeah, and we get people coming into the shop who are, you know, some cases they're older than both of us, and it's like, I've just started carp fishing.
Of course.
You know, whatever, 70 years of age.
Of course.
And I guess people sometimes get lost in what's carp fishing all about. Obviously, we want to catch a fish.
Yes.
But what is it for you, Terry, that, you know, obviously the fishing, the catching the fish, what is it that...
Me, I think it's the chase. I like to fish tough lakes. I like to fish lakes that kick me so hard, and that's what makes me go back. Now, if I went to a lake, if you showed me a lake and I walked over there and I spanked it, I had nearly all the big ones out in a couple of days, and I've had this before, I won't want to go back.
No.
But you take me to a lake that punishes me,
6
and
carp or
I
something.
think that's why I've caught the nice fish that I've caught, is because I've gone to the places which are going to be tough. You know, all my best I think the reason that I can remember a lot of the fish that I've caught is because I've caught them from really hard lakes. Yeah. So when you do catch one, you know you've caught one.
And I guess let's just be clear, no matter who you are in carp fishing, you don't catch every single time you go. And there's a lot that you don't see behind the scenes.
Of course.
Where guys are, you know, on the TV or on the video, of course they're catching a fish. It's going to be boring if you watch somebody's rods for,
I've had to
6-7 hours.
More than everyone else to catch the fish that I've caught. You know, I've had to struggle more than everyone else. I've had to be the one at 3 o'clock in the morning who's driving across town. Yeah. You know, on so many occasions, and having a young family as well. Yeah. It makes it even harder as well.
So I guess you get out of carp fishing what you put in, and you can put as much in it and get as much out as you like. You know, you might go fishing once a year.
A lot of it as well is it becomes experience in time, like timing. Timing is key. I know now. If you give me 30 nights a year to fish, I will pick them 30 nights and know that I'm going to be putting myself in the best position that I can. Because I've been carp fishing so long and been fishing these big gravel pits for so long, you know, I know when the windows are. You know, I know when it's going to be doing fish. I know when it ain't going to be doing fish. So nowadays, my productivity of catching carp is high. And I think it's because I'm funneling it down into the right times, and I know when I need to get to a lake and watch the lake, and where I need to be watching at the right time. I'm picking my times. I mean, one of the things that I've been picking up on lately is like Canadian pondweed. Right. Yeah, Canadian pondweed to me is an amazing stuff. Yeah, and a lot of the lakes that I fish the best when the Canadian pondweed is really thriving. Unbelievably. Now, we always thought that Canadian pondweed is holding loads of food. But now, we're thinking maybe it's the Canadian pondweed that's starving the lake of the food, and that's why the fish are coming into play. Yeah, because what it's You know, maybe it's stopping something, because I think a lot of these hard lakes, it's all down to food levels. You know, the bait will work brilliant and it'll catch unbelievable, and then all of a sudden it'll switch off. And I think that's when other food comes into play.
Yeah. So it's interesting about how you plan and the windows and knowing kind of like when it's time to go.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, we don't all have that luxury, but you're not afraid to share knowledge, are you, Terry?
No,
I know you've got a book out, which has been out a while now, but
my book's sold out.
It's sold out.
Totally sold out. I brought a book out, as you know, probably 10 years ago now, 8-9 years ago, and it's sold out within 2 years. I've done 3,500 copies. Urban Myth. I won Carp Talk Book of the Year. A lot of the stories were old stories from the 1980s.
But it's that knowledge that you share in those stories, or the little edges that you can pick up and you can gather from, you know, the book. Are there any of these books still in existence?
There is
you can put your
there is a couple. There is a couple that I read myself.
Yeah. So you might have a little supply of these books.
There might be a couple of them.
There might be a couple. So if you ever got the opportunity to see,
you really got to bend my arm up.
If you ever
that bad.
got an opportunity to get one of Terry's books, and you saw one of Terry's books, and I must say these things are selling for. We looked on the internet before Terry arrived, and these are selling for upwards of like £125, £130 in some sites, which is
unbelievable.
Terry's like, who's this?
Yeah.
How can they sell that book for that much?
Yeah, I was selling them for £29.
Oh man! But that, I guess, is testament to what's in there and the knowledge.
That's good. Yeah.
If you ever saw a signed copy of Terry's book, I would suggest you buy that. Like when you see it, and especially if you're going to get it for £29, which I don't think is possible anymore.
I'm not going to reprint the book. The reason that I'm not going to reprint it is because I want to be loyal to the guys who come along and bought that book originally. There's 3,500 of them who put their money over and bought this book, and that's one of the reasons that I won't reprint for them.
Would there be another book?
There is. I've got another 2 books that I need, but the thing is, I'm such a busy man.
Time is a killer sometimes, isn't it? When you want to get things done that you know what you want to do.
But
go fishing, write your book.
Something to look forward to in the future.
Definitely. So obviously you went on Dragon's Den.
Yes, I did.
If you didn't know that, you did, and that's available all online. I'm not going to touch on that too much because I think it's probably been done to death. But what would be from your you go fishing. You catch fish, you make bait, but then from a business point of view, what did Dragon's Den do for you and for Urban Bait, and where do you think you're going in this next 12 months?
The thing is with me, I come at this business, it was not planned. I was selling my book, doing the shows, selling my book, and people were asking me what bait you're catching on. Yeah. And that's how Urban Bait come about. It wasn't a plan for Urban Bait. It come out that I was selling my book, which was the Urban Myth, and that's how it come about. So I never come at it from a business angle. I come at it from a fishing angle.
So I love fishing.
Yeah, it's a passion of mine, as you know. But then when it comes to the Dragon's Den people, they're business-minded people. They're totally coming from another angle. They're
like here and you're here. And
well, they could take any business and turn it around because they're business people, aren't they? So I learned a lot off of them. Yeah. They asked me to go on the show. I didn't ask them, and they asked me a lot. Yeah, they asked me a lot. I was getting a lot of emails, and people said to me, you know, we struggle to pay for advertising. You know, it's expensive to advertise. And to go on a Dragon's Den and get 10 million views and have your bait in front of 10 million people for free. Yeah.
So once that happened, obviously you've seen an increase in sales of the bait.
Yeah, we've seen an increase in the awareness of us. Yeah. You know, there's a lot more awareness of us out there, and we've had a lot of offers from investors as well,
which is good.
You know, which are coming, which you know we'd be happy to look at because obviously you know we want to grow this.
Well, that's I suppose is where I was going with this. Is like over the next few years, you've got big plans, haven't you, for Urban Bait? Whether somebody invests money or they don't, it's got to move.
Yeah, it's going to be moving on and upwards. You know, we want to really work on our media, our YouTube channels. You know, new products. You know, the packaging, everything. You know, we want to make it a better experience for the people who are buying our bait and people who are catching. People are catching on our bait all the time. You know, you look at our Facebook pages, they're awash with monster carp. They have been for years. But we need to make it an experience as well.
So this experience is something that a lot of companies, I think, they kind of miss out on. And whether it's you're doing a live video or you've got a Facebook group or whatever it is, certainly now, you know, when we started, there was no YouTube, no internet, none of this stuff. Now, we've got these tools.
Of course, and we need to use them.
Fishing companies
Totally.
at large.
I mean, another thing is a lot of people need to learn how to use boilies as well. There's a lot of guided information out there about boilies, you know, and what they're actually for, why they should be.
Is there a time, Terry, where you shouldn't use boilies?
I think myself, I would go to every lake I fish using boilies. You know, I went to a friend of mine, Brett, he's got a place in the Ebro, and I go and fish out there with him, and you know, everyone uses pellets, and it's like, don't use boilies, you know, the carp in here just love pellets. Well, I use boilies, and I caught loads. Yeah. You know, so I'm a massive boilie angler. I think maybe when the natural foods are at their highest, and you know, and it's at the peak, maybe in June or July, and things are really slow, then you know, then maybe going onto some more particle and some.
Just increase that amount of particle in the mix.
Just increase the amount of particle in the mix.
But you definitely always incorporate
I always want to incorporate the stuff that I want to fish with. To me, being an angler is about having balanced tackle. So if I was going to use a maggot, I wouldn't want to use a size 2 hook. I wouldn't want to put a size single maggot on a size 2 hook. I want to use tackle. So if I'm feeding with hemp or a really small seed, I don't want to be using a hook bait that matches a hemp seed, because my tackle, my hook link's going to be nearly as thick as my bait. So one of the beautiful things about a boilie is it does suit our rigs. And we've always got to think back to what we're trying to achieve, which is to catch a big carp on line, on hook link, you know, and you're going to need tough tackle. Absolutely. So by using, like, if you give me my option, if I said to everyone, right, no one use 12mm baits anymore, let's all go on 22s. The old lot of us go on 22s. What we'd be doing then is we'd be encouraging the fish to eat bigger food baits. And what will that do? That'll make our rigs work better. Our rigs will work better.
How many people are
all of a sudden you are balancing your tackle out like a matchman would.
Very, very important point, because match angling is all about that balance. Everything is.
All angling is
measured to.
Carp fishing always was.
And this is
not
what
anymore.
This is what people, I think, are missing.
Yeah, we used to drop, when we started carp fishing, we'd use £11 line and we wouldn't get a bite, and oh dear, we'd put £8 line on and you bite a bite straight away, which is what a match angler would do. Now, we, as carp anglers, have gone in the total opposite direction.
£16 line,
£18, 25 hook link, £30 hook link, you know, so and that's fine, but you need to get your hook baits in conjunction with your rigs. Yes.
So is it the fishing media, the companies at large, and the way that manufacturing's gone that have pushed people to use certain
smaller stuff? Yes. Confidence levels. You know, what I see a lot is the fashions and the way people follow each other around in carp fishing. It can be, you know, it can be a bit of a circus where, you know, someone will go to a lake, it will catch a fish a certain way and everyone will follow. You know,
and we've all experienced that, right?
Yeah, we all experience that, and what this does, this leads off into other areas. Like when I first went to Lynchill, I've gone back to Lynchill. When I turned up there's a guy there, and he was catching really well, like, you know. And as I walked around the lake and talked to everyone said to me, "You've got to use 10 millers. It's only 10 millers. It's only 20 millers." Anyway, this guy was catching. He was a guy from Liverpool, and he was catching fish. And I walked up to him, and I got talking to him, and I went, "You're having a few?" Yeah, I'm having a few. Anyway, he goes, "I'm having them all on 20 millers." You know, he was the only person with a 20 millers.
And the only person who sort of had the inclination, the initiative to do that and take a risk. Do you think, is it taking a risk or is it common sense?
Well, it's taking a risk if you've got no experience. But if you've got experience in all the fields, I've caught fish on a single tiger nut and I've caught them on 28 millers. So you've got the experience, you've got the confidence. Now, when I grew up carp fishing, we were all using big baits. We were either using big lumps of luncheon meat or big lumps of paste or big boilies. Now, we were fishing for 10-pounders. We were fishing for £10 carp. Now we're fishing for 40s, and we're all using 12 millers.
It makes sense when you have that experience.
If you was going to go on a water and you wanted to, I mean, I've done it at Wingham. I went up to Wingham and it was particles. It's all hemp and it's all corn. I went on there with 22 millers. A big throwing stick, 22 millers, and I put them everywhere.
And people are like, "Who's this crazy guy?"
And I was getting fish after fish after fish. Because what a 22 miller does and all, it's much harder for a fish to eject.
I guess this kind of leads us into rigs, doesn't it, Terry?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're on that level now where if you don't balance it, that bait's going straight in and straight back out, and you wouldn't even get a beep.
Now, one of the rigs that we've done really well on in the last couple of years has been the pop-down rig. We call it the pop-down rig. Now, one of the urban lads, Peter Rudd, me and him went fishing one day and he started using it. Now, I've caught so many carp on this rig since. Yeah. It's untrue. And loads of big ones and all. And all it is a massive big pop-up with a massive hole drilled in it and a big shot. So what happens is your hook bait becomes really heavy but really light at the same time. So you've got this massive, heavy, cumbersome hook bait. But if you put it in the water, it sinks like that. So you've got this heavy object, big, heavy, clumsy object, but it's as light as a feather. Fish don't know how to deal with it.
That's so important, isn't it? Because with everyone, especially if everybody's using the same old, or what they've learned on YouTube, which is no fault of anybody's own, because they might not have that experience. No. They've not tested everything like somebody who's been fishing for so long would have done. That might be scary. That might be something
I've
that
seen
you wouldn't...
so much like that. I remember once we were fishing up a Colne Valley Club Lake, and my friend who was fishing next to us, we was using amnesia hook links. And we'd had the fish rowing on us for 2 days, nothing. And we knew they were feeding on us, but we couldn't buy a bite off them. Anyway, he reeled his rod in, and his amnesia hook link had bent in the middle. It had been trapped. His lead had fell on it. So what he'd done is, instead of retying a new rig, he cut it, tied it, and now his hook bait was laying next to his leg. So his hook link was as long as that.
Right.
Literally as long as that. But it was amnesia, so it had movement. He smashed it.
And it's just sometimes
he smashed it. He had, and in the end, we all had hook links this long.
So the bait, the application of the bait, the rig, the quality of the bait, all of these factors are kind of like what anglers should be thinking.
And patience.
We can't bottle patience though, Terry.
Patience is key to fishing, carp fishing, what I see all the time, and I do it myself. You always feel as if there's something better, there's somewhere better to be. Yeah. You can have the best rig, the best bait, and you could be in the best swim, but then you move up the other end and blank.
It's a crazy world, and there's no right and wrong, is there, in carp fishing? There's no right and wrong. Let's see some of the other comments and stuff. I know we've had quite a few, with like 80 people logged on in the middle of the day. We can't take too much more of Terry's time. I know that you've drove for miles. You've come up here. He's brought loads of gifts and bait, and I've got boxes of I don't even know what have we got in here. We've got
strawberry stick mix, strawberry boilie.
We've got a big bunch of stuff. So we're fully stocked. With urban bait stuff, and that'll be reflected on the bait. And we've got to show our appreciation to Terry. When Terry got here, I was like, yeah, we'll do a live stream and let's talk some stuff. There'll be a replay of this available in the group. I also thought it'd be cool if we could put together a little deal or a little package for the guys at home. Now, obviously, we don't want to upset all the other tackle companies and say, hey, we're going to do a massive discount, because we can't discount bait. But what we can do is we can add bonuses and we can add some fun stuff. And if you guys are all right with that, we'll give you a little link in a second to let you get some of Terry's urban bait specials, which I guess the strawberry nutcracker at this time of year. Tell us a little bit more about why this is such an awesome bait at this time of year.
Like the strawberry that I use in this bait is a strawberry ester. I've used it on and off since I was a kid, you know. I first got my hold of my first bottle of this probably when I was about 13. Yeah. And I've caught loads and loads of carp on it. So it was a no-brainer for me to use it again and to bring it out, knowing it's such a brilliant carp catcher. I didn't need to do much testing with it. Put it in with a nutcracker mix, which is really sweet and creamy. So you've got the sweet and creamy, then you've got the strawberry. We put a little bit of Mega Blend in it, which is like a bird. It's like a bird food, but like an egg biscuit again, which is really sweet. We only put it in sort of kilo to 20 kilos, and it makes it again, adds it. It's sweet, it's creamy, you know, it's visual. I'm looking at this stick mix just in the bag, and you can see all the little different particles and little different ingredients in there. Obviously, I've used this stuff myself, and it works wonders. And the nutcracker was, and still is, it's a bait in itself. It's like a brand in its own. Nutcracker, and people call it the cracker or whatever, their little spin-off from it. But the nutcracker is one that you can take on the water with confidence, even if you're setting your foot in there for the first time ever. Yeah.
what you've done with the strawberry has given it a whole new personality, hasn't it?
It's giving it another boost, isn't it? It's giving it a different angle as well.
Yeah.
For some of the guys who are going on lakes where the nutcracker's been done to death, you know, the strawberry, again, is going in there. Like the first guy who started using it last year, Richie, he took it over the resis, he caught one on his first cast.
Yeah.
You know, I took it down the Woolpack last year. I had Clover and a couple of others on it straight away. And everywhere we're going, it's instantly catching. But it's that the strawberry always did.
Yeah, so
always did. It's no news.
It's not anything new.
It's nothing new.
It's
just
old
been
news.
new.
It's just packaged and it's brought and given to you in this package that you can take this bait and use it with confidence, knowing that Terry and the guys of old have been using this stuff for years,
and we will carry on using it.
And that's the key for me. You will carry on using it. You see, some companies will develop a new thing and a new thing and a new thing and a new thing. How many baits have you got in the range?
Yeah, we've got 4 baits. We've been going 5 years.
4 baits.
This is our first bait we brought out.
And
from the original range.
You couldn't even click on this on the website for this wasn't available, and all of a sudden it's appeared on the website and it's gone crazy.
One thing with us is we're still relatively small. We roll it all ourselves. Everything we roll everything ourselves. We make everything ourselves. So you know, we're rolling full time, flat out, every day of the year.
So there's people now rolling.
There's people rolling,
rolling there, but they're not rolling the latest new invention. No. They're rolling things.
Old school bait that's going to be still be catching long after I'm dead. Isn't it?
Well, that's a legacy, isn't it?
These baits do, you know, and they will do.
And these will be catching carp in 100, 200, 300 years.
The bases of these baits will always catch carp, like a tiger nut will, like a piece of sweet corn will. You know.
Yeah, and I think sometimes as an angler you just need to get on the going bait. Yeah. Stick to it.
Yeah. And work with it.
And work with it, even if the time gets hard.
Yeah, you need to
still work with it.
You need to go. I've got total confidence in my bait, so when I go to the lake, I don't think about my bait. That's not even an issue with me, which gives me a massive edge, because then I can concentrate
on the rig, the location,
on the finer details, like finding where the fish are going to actually pick it up. Because you will find in a lake, you might have a 10-acre swim or 10 acres in front of you, and I've seen this so much. And there might be 2 spots in that 10 acres where they'll actually pick it up. Yep. Now, if you're not on them two spots in that 10 acres, you could have the best bait in the world and the best rig in the world.
You could have magic.
They won't touch it.
No, because it's spots. And so,
spots are very key, aren't they?
Imagine what it'd be like if you didn't have to think about your bait. You just thought about getting to the right place at the right time with the right rig, because the bait wasn't an issue. And it is. And I was thinking about some of those other things that will come with experience and will come with time. You add those as you go. Yeah. But if you know that you're confident in your bait, then things are all good. Now, it would be kind of cool if we could give something away on this stream. I know we've got a few questions as well, Lee. Is there any more?
Yeah, there's 2 questions. Lads are going impatient here for answers. Stephen Buckingham, what's the best pop-up to use in the winter? And Trevor Bakewell, question for Terry. You turn up on a water you've never fished before. How do you know what bait and what rig to use?
It's kind of where we've just been going, I guess.
Yeah, well, if I was going to turn up on a water, straight away, at the minute, I would look, at this time of the year, I'd definitely turn up with a nutcracker. I'd have a bit of fish meal as well. Yeah. And then what I tend to do, one of the things we say it's a bit of a joke to some people, the boys all have a joke, get on the game bait. Now what that really means is when you go to a lake, you fish with 2 or 3 different baits. Yeah, so if you go to a lake, like a matchman does, we keep going back to good anglers, and what they do. Now, if you go to a lake and you've got tuna on, the nutcracker on, and the red on, and we mix it up, you'll soon know the ones they like the most, because that's the rod that goes quick. Then you've got to go and bait, ain't you?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
This is pretty much what we do. This is what we do. We'll go there with our baits. We'll take a nut and a fish meal, and then we'll fish. And some lakes, they're just mad. Like Wingham was just mad on a nut. Absolutely mad on a nut. Where when I go to Christchurch, I'll take the red, because that one's proved itself to give me the edge. So that's how I would go about it. In regards to pop-ups, in the winter, a good winter pop-up, I would say, is something bright that I'd be confident with.
And you've got the flu rolls at this place in flu rolls, right?
I like our washed out versions. You know, me myself, I've done really well on the washed out yellows and the washed out naturals in our range. The washed out natural pop-ups, I mean, they've got to be our best pop-up of all time. I mean, counted, caught ridiculous, counted an amazing amount of fish of all types, you know, up to 90 odd pound, you know, and then pop-ups have been our best. So that's, I'd have to answer that. I'd have to say the natural washed out pop-ups are our best. And I would be turning up with them. I like cork balls myself.
Yep,
I do like using my cork balls as well.
Yep.
You know, so
and again, you've got some awesome carp ball pop-ups, and they are really good quality. You've not skimped on not just the quality of the actual ingredients of the bait, but the things that you need to do to make it stay buoyant.
Yeah.
These things stay popped up, right?
They stay popped up. I mean, my cork balls are originally, I was fishing on a lake. It was very shallow, and the fish were very spooky, and you had to cast out and literally leave your rods in the water for 2 days for them to come back. Yeah, so you cast your rods in, they're gone.
Yeah.
2 days later they come back. So the key was to leave them out there for 2 days. Now a cork ball pop-up will sit up, popped up for a month of Sundays.
Yeah.
The trouble was the coots, where it was so shallow, the coots were in, and their talons are so sharp they'll rip a cork ball pop-up off straight away. They'll rip the paste off. So what we started to do was mesh them.
Yeah.
So I was getting my cork balls, meshing them, whopping them out there, sitting them out there for a couple of days, and catching fish.
Yeah.
I caught a 49 common for Carp TV. Joe Morgan walked into the swim and I just netted it.
Happy
that
days.
was for Carp TV.
Yeah.
But that rod had been out there for about 2 or 3 days, and I'd had 17 coot bites.
And this was on the meshed.
And that was meshed.
Yeah.
And
you do have off the shelf meshed pop-ups, don't you?
Meshed, yeah. Well, that's why we done it, because what was happening was I was doing the videos and everyone was going, oh, how do I mesh this? How do I mesh that? And I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook, and hundreds of them were messaging me saying, how do you mesh this? So we brought some out ourselves.
So I think I've got a tub of the mesh. I'm sure you've got a tub lying around.
Yeah, so. I certainly have.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could give away one of those tubs of mesh pop-ups on the stream right now? Just for somebody who's watching. So I need you guys. It's like everybody's going crazy. I need you guys to go crazy with likes and hearts. I can't see the likes and the numbers are stuck at this side. Leo, we're getting likes and stuff going off at the side.
We're getting plenty of
Give me some likes and hearts and go crazy if you want to win a tub of the meshed. Are we going to the meshed
cork ball pop-ups?
Carp ball pop-ups, and are they going to be nutcracker?
Yeah, we can make them nutcracker. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do nutcracker. We're going to give that away now. I can't see the likes and hearts, but what I need you to do.
We're doing a strawberry one, eh?
It's
never been done.
Never been done. From the man himself, exclusive for you guys on the stream right now. Go crazy. What I'm going to do is, I know most of you guys, I'm going to ask Terry to pick a name from the comments at the bottom. So the comments are kind of going to run for a little while at the bottom. Everyone, Stephen's there, Chris is there, Anthony's there, Elliot's there, Shabob's there. B-Magic's there, that's the guy behind the counter. He's in person in the shop as well. You see a big bunch of people coming up. Pick a name at random, or
I'm going to pick Elliot.
Elliot Pedersen. Come on down. The price is right. Mr. Dempsey has picked you, and you will get in the post, courtesy of us and Urban Bait, very, very soon, a tub of exclusive.
Yeah. And
I'll text Terry in 3 weeks' time and go, have you done them bloody mashed strawberry? Never been done when I get on. Pop-ups.
I'll have to roll them myself in the kitchen.
This is going to be hand-rolled in Terry's kitchen. You're not going to get a better prize than that, guys. And if you didn't win, we've put something together as well, where what we can do is we can give you a bag of strawberry nutcracker, or the tuna and garlic as well, so you can look and you can mix things up if you've got one or the other. You get the nutcracker, you can get a bunch of other stuff as well, some pop-ups and all sorts of different bits and pieces, plus a big bunch of Carp Global bonuses, which we're going to throw in, and we'll throw in DPD shipping and a big bunch of stuff as well. If you want all of that stuff, we've worked this morning, we went for breakfast and we sat on the computer and we've put this page together. It's exclusive, it's going to disappear in like less than 24 hours, so you really need to click the link. I'm going to give you the link, I'm going to put it in the group, I'm going to send it all over, but once it's done, it's done. We've got a limited quantity, time of year, you know, these guys are rolling like crazy, there's demand from the shops. I've managed to get some stuff from Terry, but not a great deal. If you want this deal and you want to see what it's all about, and we're going to throw in a copy of this interview as well, digitally, you'll get that separately, some Urban Bait stickers, and maybe in the odd box, Terry's brought me some goodies today, and out of the box of goodies, you know, there's a huge box of goodies here. We've got glugs, and we've got salmon oil, and we've got all sorts of crazy stuff. Loads and loads of nutcracker and pop-ups and different things. we will throw in some sort of mystery prizes, but it's not going to be in every single box. So if you want to be in to win, as it were, you want to get your chance to get the boilies, the pop-ups, we've got all sorts, we've got stick mix, we've got all sorts of cool things. It's all listed on the site. You need to go to carp.global/Terry. Right, guys? I'm going to take some more questions from the floor. Lee, signal me at the back.
Quick one for Terry and Urban. What's 2019 going to bring? I mean, you can't... The Nutcracker, I've seen posts on groups everywhere all over the place. You know, what's he going to bring bait-wise?
You know what? One thing that we've been dying to bring out the last few years has been a bait that we call the liver cracker.
The liver cracker.
The liver cracker. Now, what we were doing the nutcracker, and we know that works really well. And then what a lot of the guys were doing, they were adding the liver powder to it, yeah, and it was catching loads of fish. And we were staining our baits. We were getting our baits, as they were defrosting the water, we were pouring liver on them and it was sucking it in and they were staining them. Now, what we then tried to do, we tried to put some liver in the bait itself. So we put a kilo of liver in to like 40 key mix or something like that, because you need it low, you know, but it's got such an amazing attraction rate for any animal. You know, you go to any pet food store and you look in nearly every product and they've all got liver in them, you know. They've got such a...
well, there's vitamins and all kinds of stuff going on.
All the trace elements, the ions and all this, and all this sort of stuff that's the building blocks of fish and all life. So we're going to bring that out at one stage. That's going to be an awesome bait.
Yep. And I think it's going to be a full range, isn't it?
Of
Terry,
course,
as well.
yeah.
It's not just going to be, oh, we've done a bait and that's just
No,
the boilie.
no,
You're going to get the liquids, the stick, all the stuff to go with it.
That bait needs to come out at some stage.
I think so.
We got, you know, I've used over the years. I've used so many good baits that catch a lot of fish. So, you know, I've got a lot in there that needs to come out. But we need to do things slowly. We don't want to. You know, we don't want to go mad.
No, and things have got to be done in time. But like we said, we can't take up too much more of your time. We said 30 minutes. We've been on nearly an hour. We've had about 80 people on at once and people dipping in and out. You'll be able to watch this on the replay. I'll leave it in the group for a little while. But please remember, don't leave it too late. If you do want Terry's awesome deal, what he's put together exclusive for Carp Global today, just for being here, you've got about 24 hours. It's carp.global/Terry. I will keep that going for a while. The guys in the shop are entitled to that same deal as well. We'll tell you what's going on there. But I've just got to say, thanks, Terry Dempsey, so much for coming down to Preston and for visiting Carp Global. He's got loads of goodies. All this stuff's going to be in the shop. Congratulations if you won the pop-ups just now. And if you do want this deal, it's awesome. It's something that's... You're getting more than you would pay for. It's carp.global/Terry. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. And just before we go, I'm pleased to say that Urban Bait are supporting the 30 Days of Fishmas, where you can win a prize every single day from a top company. And Urban Bait has been supporting us more or less since the beginning. We totally appreciate everything that these guys have done, and they will be giving away more prizes. So stay tuned to what we're doing. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I know it's been your dinner break taken up, but I hope it's been worthwhile. I did say you would pick up some edges. I've picked up 6 or 7 awesome things that we can do. Don't forget that link, carp.global/Terry. Pick up the deal, grab the goodies. We'll get that out to you with DPD, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys.
Thank you.